friends, welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Stacy and I am the Chapter Conundrum, and today I'm joined by my husband, Jake, the bookish drummer, because we're here to talk about books that he forced me into and how they went for me.
Well, we all know I have the best taste in the whole wide world, in the universe. So naturally, you're gonna love all of these books, right?
I can't remember what all we picked out for this video, so we'll see.
Okay. So the first book, one of my all-time favorites, is Baby Teeth by Zoe Stage. And Zoe Stage is one of my all-time favorite horror authors, and I think this is a really good one to start with. This one is all about kind of a dual perspective between kind of a mother and a daughter, like a 7-year-old girl. And the 7-year-old girl is up to no good and wants to harm her mother.
Yeah, so what made you want me to read this one?
Just to get your reaction.
Okay.
Because I mean, Zoe Stage is kind of a polarizing author. Some people thought this book was a bit goofy. Some people thought it was like really scary. I'm kind of like in the middle where like the concept itself is kind of silly, but I love the way that she was able to execute it. And I just think the dual perspective works really well.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get your reaction to a 7-year-old antagonist.
Well, my reaction was that I had a good time with this. I gave I think a 4.25 star when I read it. And essentially, I really liked not only the mother-daughter relationship that was offset here. They had trouble communicating because the daughter is nonverbal. But I also really appreciated, or I didn't necessarily root for, but like I found interest in reading the relationship between the mother and the father as well.
Okay.
They definitely had some things that had me reacting, and we did a buddy read of this, and I think Fina was in on it, and I remember like her and I playing off each other's comments with that. But yeah, enjoyable reading experience for sure. I could definitely see what you mean by this not being for everybody. I think there's certain elements to it that not everyone would appreciate, but I had a good time with this and gave it, I think, 4.25.
All right, we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
Now let's see where we go from here. Next up, we have one of my all-time favorite thrillers, The Couple Next Door by Cherie LaPena. And this is one of my all-time favorite thrillers. It has one of my favorite thriller, I guess you'd call it trope or premise, Stolen Baby. First chapter, this couple decides to leave their baby unattended with a baby monitor to go next door at a party. And then they come back and the baby's gone. And they got to try to figure out who done it, what's going on, and it's a wild nonstop ride.
Yeah,
that I really enjoyed.
So I had a Cherie LaPena book on my shelf, but I can't remember if I had read any of her other ones before jumping into this one. Maybe I think I did from the library. But anyway, Jake was specifically the reason that I picked this one up because I knew you enjoyed it. And I likewise really enjoyed this one. I pretty sure I gave it a 4.5 star rating. But definitely it kept my interest well throughout, and it was a solid thriller that it took some turns that I didn't expect. I do think this is not necessarily going to work as well for everybody since it has detective POVs, and I know not everyone loves that in a thriller. But definitely it worked well for me, and I had a good time, and I'm glad I read it.
And since then, we've buddy read, or not, maybe not at the same time, but we've read a lot of her newer releases, and you've really liked a lot of her newer stuff.
Yeah, she's definitely becoming one of my upper tier, like, favorite thriller authors.
So our streak is going well here, but I think it's going to come to an end with this book. Next up, we have one of my all-time favorites, author and book, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I love Ray Bradbury so much, and this is a classic that I still think everybody should read, but you DNF'd it.
I DNF'd it like 20 minutes into the audiobook because there was just so much description. I don't visualize while I read, and when the author is spending so much time describing everything, I feel like I'm wading through that to get to something that I can actually like pay attention to and get invested in. And definitely it was just the writing style in this one, which is sucky because I'd probably enjoy the story if not for that writing style. But I did read through his short story collection with the book club, and I had kind of mixed reactions to that. So like I can enjoy his premises. I don't know. I can enjoy his stories, but definitely this one was just so descriptive that I could not.
It's okay for everyone to have, a wrong opinion every now and then, so I'll allow it for this time.
Gotcha. Well, we have some wrong opinions in the reverse video of this too.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so if you don't know, Jake is going to be doing on his channel books that I forced him into. And I don't know if we'll post them the same day.
We'll post on the same day.
Okay, so yeah, you'll find out more if you've watched that or if you go head over there to watch that next.
Now back to the circle of me recommending books to you that you actually enjoyed. Not Fahrenheit 451, but Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie by Jordan Sonnenblick. This I read way back in middle school and enjoyed it then. And then since then, this is probably my most reread book of all time. I've read it at different stages in my life, and it's still one of my all-time favorite books. It is middle grade, but at the same time, while it is silly at times, it's very hard-hitting, especially for a middle grade book. And I want everybody and their mom to read this book, and I got you to read it.
Yes, you did.
What did you think?
Well, first of all, we have to tell the people why I read it, because it was a tradition for you to read it every year on your birthday, and I was with you on your birthday. We were on a little kind of like getaway trip when I was visiting. We did some like fun touristy stuff in a nearby city, but we had to keep the tradition alive, and so we read it aloud to each other on your birthday. I don't think we read it all that day, but we did during that trip. So I finally read it to be a part of Jake's tradition, and I really enjoyed it. I definitely thought that this was a surprise for a middle grade. So typically I don't reach for a middle grade because I find it doesn't like delve deep enough into like more serious tone things. But Jordan Sonnenblick is an exception to that rule for the most part. A lot of his books kind of deal with real life tougher subject matter that kids that age would have to deal with. I appreciate how he handles that. And yeah, it's a good emotional roller coaster ride essentially. Like you have some funny like lighter moments, you have some more serious tone stuff, and everything in between.
And you've since read a few of his books now, and you've enjoyed a lot of them.
Yes. But this is definitely one of my favorites. It's either this or Notes from the Midnight Driver. He
is one of my, despite being a middle grade author, he is one of my all-time favorites. And this is in my top 5 favorite books of all time. So I'm glad you enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
So now doing a 180 on books that you may have not liked as much. Probably, definitely. Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. Now, to be fair, I did not exactly know your reading taste when I said for you to read this book. Now, if you don't know what Imaginary Friend is, it's one of the best, or in my opinion, one of the best newer horror novels. And don't make that face. I saw it. I saw it. And it's all about this kid who disappears, and then 6 days later he shows up, but he's a bit different. And I don't want to give too much away, but if you love Stephen King, it kind of feels like that for me. And I love the characters in this. I had to have a dedicated book review for this if you want to watch it. But one of my all-time favorite horror books. And before I knew kind of your horror taste, because I wasn't quite sure, we were still kind of were we dating at the time?
I don't know if we were dating or engaged.
I don't think we were engaged.
We might have been. I don't know.
We'd have to go back and
check. It was
check.
before we were married, at least.
Yeah, I think we were dating, and then, like, I wasn't still quite sure. I was honing in on your taste. But you did not like this book at all. Not one bit.
2 stars. 2 stars. I buddy read this with Justin, who usually I have similar tastes with, and he actually really liked it. But it was interesting that I did a buddy read of it because there were sections in the text in here where we interpreted the event of something happening completely differently. And then I went back and like reread that passage, and it was really open to either interpretation. So part of it is like the writing was just very, like, it didn't really narrow down what was happening. And for me in a horror, especially a horror, sometimes a thriller as well, I really need kind of a tangible, like, laid out character experience. I don't necessarily need all the answers of like what's happening, but I need to know what the character is actually experiencing in order to resonate with everything going on and to actually like feel the tension. In this one, I really didn't get a sense of what was happening or how the character was feeling about it. And even like aside from the main horror element, there were things, like I said, where I interpreted it, this other thing is going down, and Justin said, no, I thought this, and then, yeah. So there was just, it was the writing in this one and the fact that it was not tangible. Didn't like it. 2 stars.
Don't listen to her. Go read this book. It's amazing. We mentioned earlier that we kind of read each other Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie. Like, we read that to each other. Another book that I don't remember if we read to each other or if I read to you specifically.
I think you read to me because
Okay.
Timeline we read to each other.
Yeah. So this book is Sphere by Michael Crichton. He is kind of one of my all-time favorites. He's a sci-fi / thriller, kind of techno-thriller writer. He's written a lot of great books, and this is probably my favorite still, and I wanted to get your opinion on this one. This is all about, you know, Michael Crichton always has like a group of scientist characters doing a specific thing. This one, they're all underwater researching something, and then it goes in kind of a weird direction, very different from a lot of Michael Crichton's works, and it really worked well for me. But what did you think of it?
I had a good time with this one. This was my first Michael Crichton, first of all, and I gave it a 4-star rating. Yeah, I liked it. I didn't think it was a perfect book, but I was entertained throughout for sure. I didn't love the direction that the ending took, but I liked how we got there. And I liked the team of scientists, even though it's not a very character-driven book. I enjoyed kind of the dynamics that they had as a team.
Yeah, that's another reason I thought you would like it, is because I'm definitely more character-driven, and Michael Crichton doesn't really pay that much attention to character development, but you don't really care too much about that.
Yeah, for me, well, it depends on the genre, but I can love a good plot-driven story, for sure.
He's mainly plot-driven, I would say.
And science and idea-driven.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, this might be why you docked some stars, but a lot of times he will go very deep into scientific stuff, which you don't love.
I didn't love it in Timeline as much. I was like, can we get to the time travel? But
I was the opposite.
In this one, I didn't mind it.
Next up, we have one of my all-time favorite fantasy series that we eventually did a read-along for over on the Book Astronomer Discord. Link for that down below. One of my all-time favorites, and you wanted to join in on the fun. And I'm, of course, talking about 12 Kings and Cherokee by Bradley P. Bulio, the Song of Shattered Sands series. It's made up of 6 books with like seven novellas. Yeah. Very lengthy series. One of my all-time favorites. This is all about an assassin named Cheda who's looking for revenge on the 12 Kings. Very cool series. What did you think?
As a series as a whole, I had a really good time. There were no installments that I hated, but there were some that I loved and some that I liked. I think the highest I rated a novel in a series is 4.5 stars, but there were 3 novellas of the 7 that I gave 5 stars to. So it kind of just depended, but I definitely liked the reading experience of the series. 12 Kings and Cherokee surprised me a bit because there was kind of some mystery elements that I didn't really expect in a fantasy setting, especially like a desert assassin fantasy situation. So yeah, that was kind of a surprise. It did take me a little bit to warm up to this one. I think like the first 20 or so chapters before I really got a grasp of what was happening, I was kind of like, okay. But I got invested and definitely had a good time with the series. I'm glad I read it.
Nice. So if you guys don't know, I do have a channel as well, and a lot of my videos are Stephen King. So naturally, when we started, I don't know if you...
We were dating.
Yeah, we were dating, and I was pushing you to try to read some Stephen King. Sometimes it went well, sometimes it didn't, but a couple of books to mention that kind of go hand in hand together for a couple of reasons. Gerald's Game and Dolores Claiborne. Now, I thought you would like these. Stephen King, in my opinion, did a good job with the female characters in these, especially with Dolores. And I thought Gerald's Game you would enjoy for the character, and especially Dolores. My opinion was that you love reactive characters, and this is like the most reactive character he's ever written. And I thought you would enjoy these. Now, what did you think of both of these?
I liked them both. So Dolores, let's start there. Favorite King book, 5-star read. One of the only 5-star reads that I have read by King. And you were correct. Dolores is a very reactive character, and I loved her reactions throughout the story with everything that was happening. But more than that, I think I didn't expect her character narration to be funny. Like, normally when I think of King, I don't think of humor. But Dolores was quite funny, and I was chuckling multiple times reading this. Also, this didn't necessarily feel like a stereotypical King storyline. And so yeah, it just felt different, and I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. And then Gerald's Game, this one, I don't know if you remember, but we had gone to my local used bookstore back in Perry Sound when I still lived there, and they had a bunch of King, and I told Jake, okay, pick one of the King books that I'll go home with, and I'll try that one. And he picked out Gerald's Game of the ones that they had. And yeah, I definitely had a good time with this. Now, this was a bit more of a mixed bag, though, because the first, like, 3/4 of this I was loving. It could have been a 5-star read. And then the last 100 pages could have been a 2-page epilogue, and I was, like, slogging through the end. So yeah.
Mixed bag.
Yeah, mixed bag. But overall, really liked it. And it's kind of not really surprising because these were written back to back, right? And they also kind of have a fun Easter egg for each other.
Yeah. And of course, you have read, I don't know, probably like 20 Stephen King books.
Yeah.
So
somewhere in there.
Dolores is your favorite, and then you also liked Gerald's Game. And then there's a lot of other ones that you didn't like as much.
Yeah. If you're curious, I think I do have a top 10 King video on Jake's channel somewhere, or like we talk about my experience reading King in a separate video. There's a couple of videos on his channel about my reading experience with King.
Yeah.
You have to go digging.
Or we could link it in the doobly-doo.
Maybe.
Next up, we have one of my favorite sci-fi trilogy of all time, and then just in general one of my favorite trilogies. I think everyone should read my favorites, but in particular I wanted to get your reaction on this. And well, I'll just say what it is first. It's Themis Files by Sylvain Neville, the first book being Sleeping Giants. This one I thought you would enjoy, especially the audiobook experience. And if you don't know what this is about, it starts out with this girl basically falling into a giant hole, and she lands on this giant robotic hand. And then when she grows up, she becomes a scientist trying to discover different parts that are around the world, and people don't know what exactly is going on. And it gets pretty crazy, especially when you get later on in the series. But this first book is still really good. And what did you think of this and the series in general?
So first of all, story time. Before Jake and I were dating, we did a TBR swap where we picked like several books for each other to read, and this was one of them. So that was kind of fun. And then I think before the end of the TBR swap, we were dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun. But I really did like this. I think I gave this one a 4-star, somewhere in that range at least. And yeah, I wasn't necessarily that intrigued by like the hand in and of itself, but I did really like the audio experience of this. The interview format was interesting, and also like just the different mysteries and different parts of the story that were fast paced kept my interest well. There were some other questions I had about different POVs. I like one of the other main characters in here quite a bit. Actually, probably the other two that you didn't mention.
Mm-hmm.
I liked them more than the one he was talking about with the premise. And one of them in particular is very reactive, which we know I like. So yeah, this was a good time.
You also liked book 2 the best.
Yes.
Which is a general thing for most people.
Book 2 is my favorite. And then book 3 took a direction that I was excited about. And then the direction turned halfway through and I was not so excited about that. So it didn't work as well.
Most people don't like book 3, but for me, they're all 5 stars. One of my favorite trilogies. So
yeah, I had a good time, especially with the audiobooks.
I think this book, because we mentioned Sleeping Giants, we did like a TBR swap. This one, was this on our TBR swap?
No, but this was one of the first books you ever gifted to me.
That's what it was. I gifted this book to you before we were a thing.
Yeah.
And I had sent it through Amazon, and I got it gift wrapped for you.
Yeah, you did. You're trying to impress me.
A little bit. But anyway, the book I'm talking about is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. I always forget the name. But this is one of the best fantasy debuts. It's one of the best first books in fantasy series. Now, books 2 and 3, I didn't love as much as the first book, but this first book...
Well, you hadn't read books 2 and 3 at this point.
I know, but I'm just saying. This first book is still one of my favorite, like, first books in series. And it deals with, you know, this weird kind of bone magic, and you're following 3 perspectives throughout this whole book, and it's a lot of different mystery you got to piece together. You're not quite sure what's going on at the beginning, and it was just a really fun time trying to piece it all together. Now, what did you think of the book?
I had a good time with this one, and I gave it, I think, a 4-star rating, or at least somewhere close to that. Maybe a 4.25, but at least somewhere around there. And I agree that I liked the mystery elements and the magic of this, and I also really liked the island setting of this and what was going on with the world in general. But more than that, this had a really fantastic animal companion in Mephi. And definitely that's not something I usually think of as like my favorite thing ever in fantasy novels, but in this particular case it was very enjoyable. And I actually have a video of my top 10 animal companions if you want to go find, or I'll link it in the cards.
What numbers?
It's on the list, but I can't remember where in the ranking.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah, I guess you have to watch it and find out. But yeah, I had a good time with this. The sequels didn't live up to it.
You did not like book 2.
Book 2 had an unnecessary romance and a villain that was wishy-washy.
Book 3, I think, was better. But you didn't love book 3 either.
I didn't love book 3 either. Book 1 was where it's at.
Yeah, and we're gonna eventually read her new trilogy, but I might wait until it's all out.
Yeah, book 2 is coming out in this November, I believe.
Book 1 did not have good reviews.
Yeah, I'm not sure when book 3 is coming, because I heard she's coming out with a thriller next year.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
But we have one more book to talk about. And this book we saved for last because we actually made each other swap books because we were both kind of, a little bit stubborn, because I didn't want to read a certain series and you didn't want to try a certain author.
But we wanted each other to read the other one.
So we agreed to swap these books. You read this book so I could read another book.
Yeah.
So that book that I'm talking about,
the one that I had to read,
is Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami. This is one of my all-time favorite authors. He is magical realism, which of course I now know you just really don't like that genre. But I still wanted you to give him a shot, and the only way that you would want to do this is if I read something else, which I'm not going to reveal what that is. You'll have to go on my channel and find out what I had to read for this.
Okay.
Now, this one, like my opinion of it, it's not one of my favorite Murakami's, but you mentioned Justin before, and I mentioned to you that this was one of the years was his favorite book that he had read. So I convinced you, like, okay, if Justin loves this book, this is the best shot for you to read Murakami.
Yeah, I mean, my thinking was like, if this is his favorite book of the year, this is the only one I have a prayer of enjoying.
And what did you think of the book? Don't throw Murakami on the ground.
That's pretty much what I thought. I can't remember what my actual rating was. It might have been like a 2-star, 2.5 star, somewhere in there. I finished the dang thing. I didn't love it. There was weird sexual stuff in here. There was communication with cats. I can't remember what else, really. But I just remember it being really off the wall, kind of out there, kind of weird, slow-paced. Didn't love it.
All those reasons are the reason that I liked it. Except maybe the sex stuff. He does go a little bit overboard with the sex stuff. But
he made it weird in this one, too. It's not even... like, I can love a good smutty book. No, this one was weird.
And like I mentioned, this is not one of my all-time favorites. I think I gave it maybe like 3.5, 4 stars. He does have better books. But like I mentioned, this was like the only book that you were willing to try.
Yeah, pretty much.
And yeah, we now know that you really just don't like magical realism.
Well, I already knew that, but I sacrificed in order to make you read a certain something.
Which you'll find out if you go and watch my video.
Yeah.
But for now, that's all we've got for today's video.
Yeah, so let us know down below in the comments, which were you most surprised at hearing my reaction to? And which of the ones that Jake made me read did you like most or are the most excited to check out?
And I couldn't think of anything. Oh well.
And don't forget to hit like and subscribe on your way out if you want to, and have a great day. Bye.